When you say depression, everybody thinks there is constant sadness. But depression typically looks more like a lack of energy, a lack of hope. So there's a lot of hopelessness that comes with it. There can be intrusive thoughts. There can be a lot of anxiety.
There are so many expectations from a mom to always be happy, always wanting to hold the child, always feeling that connection or love with the child, and like that ma image that we have all grown up with. How can we begin educating the families here first?
When we say no, we have to be prepared with not being liked. Because see, milk supply and mental health is so intricately linked that one is not going right, the other will suffer.
Will postpartum depression ever go away?
It definitely does. And the sooner you get help, the sooner it will resolve. Fathers can also suffer from postpartum depression.
Oh, okay. So I'll be honest. The moment I delivered my baby, I did not feel that instant connection with him. Everyone tells you that the moment you get that little human in your hand, you'll feel that instant love, instant connection. And when I didn't feel that, it just made me feel like I failed as a mother instantly. Like I'm a terrible human being. I didn't know if this was normal or not. And that's why I feel it's so important to talk about these things. A lot of times as a new mom, you don't know what you're going through is normal or not. That's why today we're going to be talking about postpartum depression, and we'll try to uncover what's okay, what's not okay, when to seek help, and how you can deal with all the postpartum blues. Hi moms, welcome to the Conscious Indian Mama Pod. I'm your host Gunjan, and today we have Nishigandha with us. Hi Nishi.
Hi.
She is a mom to a 3-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and a psychologist. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. She focuses mainly on postpartum mental health. So I want to know first, how was your postpartum journey like? And what pushed you to start working with mothers?
So I think the answer for the second question comes from my own journey. Pregnancy was amazing. I mean, we traveled. I was working out the whole time. I was honestly at my fittest during pregnancy. And then I stayed at my nanny's place for postpartum because my house is a 2-storied house and my mom did not want to keep going up and down. And my nanny has a wonderful large garden, swing, very old house. And the first 3 months while I was in my hometown, nanny's place, my parents' place, my in-laws' place, went swimmingly. And then we came to Bangalore. And the first couple of weeks were good because I think my husband took his paternity at that time. And he was available. My mother-in-law came for a while. My mother came for a while. And then it became bad. So because I got a shoulder injury.
Okay.
I was not aware. I was constantly sitting, feeding the baby because you were supposed to feed every 2 hours. And I was sitting the whole time and holding her for a long time because she would not settle down before. Without carrying or soothing her, cuddling her. And throughout the night, I would sit and feed because I was not confident nursing her, laying down. And I would sleep like that. And then after a while, when my husband woke up, he would kind of let me know that you have to sleep. He would put the baby down. And then he would go off to work. And I was home. And he had a very long commute at that time. So he would leave at 8 in the morning and come back at 8 in the evening.
Oh, wow.
So, and 5 days a week. No break in that. And that became the toughest part of my postpartum journey. Because I was not back to work yet. And I had a nanny for a while who had to go because there was some issue at her house. And then she left Bangalore. And then I couldn't find somebody that I gelled with or I was comfortable letting my baby stay for a while. And I remember the struggle was something as basic as taking a shower or going to the washroom.
Yes.
And she was too small. Now what I do is I put my sister, mother or somebody on the phone and I ask them to babysit online.
Yeah.
But at that time that became very difficult.
Yeah.
And she used to howl and I'm trying to do something, get nothing done. What really helped was wearing her. So baby wearing helped. So I could get some things done. And we couldn't find help. I don't know why. Help refused to.
Yeah.
People would come and leave. And I think that But then it became better. I think starting work really helped me. And we settled down into a rhythm. I found somebody that I could trust. And I think that helped.
Nice. So what pushed you to, start working with mothers?
When I first became pregnant, I was okay. But then I typically lead a very low waste lifestyle. And I've always been a little environment conscious, but my anxiety really picked up. And I realized too many friends were pregnant at the same time. And I realized everybody is anxious about things that they've never been anxious about. And I have never been an anxious person. So I was always a very chilled out, easygoing person. And I was suddenly so anxious that anywhere they're burning leaves, I would get panicked. And I found that a lot of mothers my age are feeling anxiety about something or the other.
Yeah.
And I think that made me realize that mental health for mothers is there's no awareness.
Yeah.
There's some awareness about, I think, postpartum depression, but that's it. Nothing prenatal, nothing else about other postpartum mental health issues. And I think it became a very natural flow of things because I became a part of a mother's support group. And then because I was a psychologist, one thing led to other, and then people started talking to me. And I think it very organically grew from there.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So let's start from the very basic question of what is the difference between normal baby blues, like we call it, and actual postpartum depression?
Great question. I think up to 80% women go through baby blues. Now, why does it happen? Because during pregnancy, our estrogen, progesterone are very high. And immediately after delivery, they crash in the first couple of weeks. And the rate at which they crash, our body cannot handle that. And then we go through a slightly low time because there's lack of sleep. There's a completely new human being response, and we have no idea, you know. And then it kind of gets better. When it doesn't get better, or when it is very intense, where you cannot do the functions that you're required to do. So when you find it difficult to take care of yourself or your baby, or not be able to bond, have intrusive thoughts, negative intrusive thoughts about harming yourself or the baby.
Okay.
Or there is intense emotions which keep fluctuating sometimes, or a lot of hopelessness. That's when you're looking at something a little serious. And baby blues pass by themselves. So you don't need to do anything specifically because your body gets into that rhythm, I think. With postpartum depression, or there are a lot of other issues also, you need help.
Okay.
And with help, it definitely gets better.
Okay.
But without help, it can last for, sometimes months or years.
But many moms, even I face this, have a lot of unexpected mood swings. Like 1 minute you're laughing, 1 minute you're crying, 1 minute you're shouting at someone for something very stupid that they did. And that becomes very scary for not just the mother, but even the people around them. What is happening to her? Why does that happen?
Somehow this question reminded me of that episode from Friends where Rachel tries to make a pudding.
Yeah.
And I think she puts okra in that.
Yeah.
And the only person who can imagine eating it is Joey.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening inside our bodies, It's a mix of everything. There's also oxytocin. Now, oxytocin is something that helps with postpartum depression or mental health. But there's prolactin. Now, prolactin, the hormone that's responsible for milk production, it also is responsible for making the mother protective of the child. So we've all evolved from the caveman stage. And it was very important that the mother was capable of protecting her baby. Others might not have been around at that time. So we become aggressive.
Yeah.
And all our senses are heightened.
Yeah.
So in a way, we are dealing with a very different world than a lot of others. Or the volume of the TV that might be perfectly okay or a little low for somebody else in the house is very high for you because you just put the baby to sleep. And you are anxious that he or she will get up again.
Yeah.
So that makes it very difficult for us to balance. And there's constant mood swings plus the lack of sleep. And there's always lack of sleep, no matter what
that
you
is
do.
true. Yeah. Many moms also face a lot of intrusive thoughts, especially in the beginning, right? That could be because of what you said, we've all evolved from the cavemen and our instinct is to protect and preserve our baby. But then these thoughts can sometimes go to a lot of extremes, right? Where they become so overprotective of the baby that they won't even let anyone else handle them. So, is that also normal? Is that something that requires some help?
So intrusive thoughts are not, I mean, I will not say they're not normal, but you should look a little deeper into it.
Okay.
Typically, it points towards a postpartum OCD diagnosis.
Okay.
And the difference between normal OCD and postpartum OCD is all your obsession is around the baby or the postpartum day-to-day tasks. And it is always better to just get yourself screened if you're having intrusive thoughts and take help, because having intrusive thoughts takes a lot of time and adds to the stress. But there's also this guilt that comes, that I am having thoughts about my baby, which could be positive, where it's a little protective also, but it's stopping you from letting your baby experience things. Or sometimes the intrusive thoughts are not so nice.
Yeah.
So a lot of mothers have this intrusive thoughts of, if I'm carrying my baby, I'm going to drop my baby.
Yeah.
And then they don't carry the baby. They don't hold the baby. They're scared of holding the baby or caring for the baby. Or they shy away.
Yeah.
And then depression also sets in, because then you feel lonely. You feel like you are evil. That you have, I'm a mother, and how can I feel such thoughts about my own child? So it's always better to seek help at that time, because with help, this definitely reduces.
How can a new mother seek help? Like, who can they go to?
So two people, I think first point of contact can be a gynecologist, because not everybody has resources available.
Exactly. Yes.
Where can I find a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Yeah.
Ideal goal is go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist if you're uncomfortable with taking medication, because that's a concern a lot of mothers have. Go to a psychologist first. Let the psychologist analyze if you actually need medication, or this is something that can be resolved just through therapy. You need both, ideally. Both helps, but not always. Medication might not be required. Sometimes just fixing your diet, sometimes making sure that you're getting enough supplements, because B6, your B12, vitamin D3, thyroid, all of this is affected.
Okay.
Iron levels are affected, calcium is affected, and they all affect your mental health.
Oh, okay.
So if you fix these things and you feel a little better, and you're also going through therapy, you might not need medication. But while we're on the point of medication, I think medication is seen in even a worse light than mental health.
Yeah.
It helps you. It helps you become a better mother to your child, because you are doing okay.
Okay.
Instead of, and I know that breastfeeding is a concern amongst a lot of mothers. There are actually some really good medication that is available which does not interfere with which is safe for breastfeeding, essentially.
Okay. That would have been my next question, actually, because that's again the thing that people are concerned about, right? Any kind of medication we put in as a new mother in our body, we have to go through 500 Google articles that is it safe for the baby or not. Okay, that's nice to know. Now we talked about the symptoms of PPD and what's normal, what's not. A lot of times mothers are not aware, or they're not in that zone that they can even, look at themselves and say something's wrong. So how can families or partners support them through this?
I think the biggest place to start is just generate awareness. So I feel before families, the awareness needs to come from professionals. Where ideally, I know it's not happening, might take a long time, where along with all your other tests or all your other, before you get discharged, maybe some information about mental health issues and what to watch out for. Or there are so many articles, so much content available online. Partners can make it their duty to make sure that they are well informed. Or family members, anybody who's who has access to things, they can actually think about how they can keep themselves involved and what to look out for. So a few things which seem fairly normal but are not normal is the rage that is present postpartum. Again, like I said, because of the protective instinct, smallest of triggers create rage. And the rage is typically directed towards the partner.
Yes.
Because who else can you take it out on?
Yeah.
And if the partner is sensitive in that moment, that this is not about me, this is about the mother, or this is about whatever is happening in her body, not even about her, ideally, they can really provide the support that she needs. And there is honestly a lot of log kya kahenge wala thought that comes up, especially with families where, the older generation might not be a little as aware, where I think it becomes the partner's duty to fight for the wife or fight for the mother, so that she has access to resources or access to the treatment that she needs. And just conversations and asking her. And what families can do, what I've typically noticed is everybody wants to help with the baby. Family, friends, everyone. The mother doesn't need help with the baby. The mother wants to hold the baby. A lot of times, unless until there's obviously some issue that's stopping her. But if the mother is more comfortable holding the baby, instead of offering to, I will look after the baby, you get things done. I would recommend all friends and family and relatives to offer to help doing other things. So I actually had a friend when I was in that bad patch of the first few months. And she used to come and she used to ask me, do you want me to make dinner? And do you want me to fold the laundry? And I felt so supported in that moment because I did not want to leave my baby with somebody else and go do these things. And that really helps. So I think families, for the mother's mental health also, just understanding what support she needs and then providing it instead of just kind of bombarding support that she might not need.
Yeah, okay. I want to touch a little bit more on mom rage that you mentioned. How is that different than just anger or just a regular fight that partners can have, right, postpartum? How would you differentiate mom rage from that?
The tone of voice would change. So, I mean, you've been aware of who you are earlier. The mom might not recognize it. But the partner might recognize that there's a difference. That the way you respond in a fight, the way you respond in an altercation is very different because you are so intensely angry. And during pregnancy, typically everybody's in love with their partners. You're meant to be also, you're creating a family, there's that nest feeling. And suddenly that shifts. And you don't feel like you like your partner anymore. You don't want them around.
Okay. Yeah. But isn't that something that happens to a lot of mothers? Because the amount of disparity there is between the role that a mother and a father play, especially in the first few months, it's automatic to have certain, that's not fair, or why does he get to go out, or why does he get to do this? So there's automatically a little bit of that.
There's also a lot of confusion with the identity, who am I after the baby?
Yeah. And that definitely takes a toll on your relationship as husband and wife. But coming back to what you were saying, that shift is, I think, pretty natural, is it not?
It is absolutely natural. When it is not natural is if it prolongs for more than what is. So first 3 months, your body takes a little time to kind of adjust. Post that, again, like something that happened to me post 3 months, I moved. Again, the body and the mind will take some time to adjust to a new setting. The baby will also probably take some time to adjust. But if everything is going okay, and you're still feeling intense rage, intense anger towards your husband without being provoked, then maybe you need to look into yourself. Now, I know that when I say this, it's going to create even more stigma. So I want to add on to it that it is very important that the father in this instance needs to be in a stable mental state.
Yeah.
So what can actually help is if fathers can anticipate the needs. I know it's difficult, but how can they understand is maybe reading a little bit and tiny things. Being involved in every step of the journey where, for example, when you sit to breastfeed, especially in the first few months, you'll become very thirsty the moment the letdown happens. And sometimes you might not have water around. And making sure that there is water around is something, because the mother might not have enough time to get water while the baby is crying. So tiny things which go a long way would really help reduce the mom rage.
So can you give us some very big red flags or some very clear signs of postpartum depression that not only the mom but even the partner and the family should be aware of?
So first thing is, when you say depression, everybody thinks there is constant sadness. But depression typically looks more like a lack of energy, a lack of hope. So there's a lot of hopelessness that comes with it, which typically also happens because of lack of sleep. So it's very confusing. But there can be intrusive thoughts. There can be a lot of anxiety, which goes a little beyond what the mom can deal with by herself. So maybe there's constant reassurance seeking. Maybe there is a lot of time that goes into the overwhelming thoughts that come along with that. There is typically words like, I cannot connect or bond with the baby. Or my baby doesn't love me. I don't love the baby can be a realistic statement. But the baby knows nobody else apart from the mom, the first few days at least. And it typically, this continues, like I said, beyond the first few weeks. And there is also a lot of other things. So there is change in appetite, which is again normal. But maybe the mom does not feel that hungry, which you're supposed to if you're breastfeeding. Or despite the lack of sleep, there is still maybe insomnia. So look out for not being able to sleep even when the baby is sleeping. Or not wanting to take care of herself, not wanting to meet people. A lot of young mothers are quite excited to meet people after maybe the first month is done. But even after that, maybe the mother doesn't want to meet people. Now, naturally, all new mothers will want to be a little withdrawn because you want to spend time with your child, your family. But even beyond that, and typically a lot of fights with the husband, naturally, with the partner, which is also very normal. So how can you actually identify is when it goes beyond what you can function with. So when you're not able to get things done, when it is affecting the milk supply. Because see, milk supply and mental health is so intricately linked that one is not going right, the other will suffer.
Okay. And throughout this conversation, you've mentioned that there are other disorders also that can be diagnosed postpartum, like you mentioned postpartum OCD, right? So what are some other disorders that people are probably not even aware of right now?
So postpartum depression, I think, is the famous one. Then the younger sibling is postpartum anxiety, which also there is a fairly available awareness or information about it. What people don't know about is, like I said, OCD. Then there is postpartum PTSD, so postpartum post-traumatic stress disorder. And it can arise from traumatic experiences during pregnancy, during the delivery process, or immediately postpartum. And also there is postpartum psychosis, which is an emergency. So everything else can be managed with time, with proper care and treatment. With postpartum psychosis, you cannot afford to wait. And I think awareness matters the most in this case. It's rare. It's not as common as postpartum depression. Around 23 to 25% women suffer from postpartum depression. When it is diagnosed, we don't know how many do it in silence.
True.
But postpartum psychosis is quite rare. Maybe 1 or 2%. I'm not sure about the exact number. But what happens is there is a loss of touch with reality. There are a few out-of-body experiences. There are intrusive. So intrusive thoughts are when you are in control of your thoughts. You understand that this thought is illogical, irrational.
Yeah.
When you don't understand that, when there are hallucinations, when there are delusions, when there is somebody else telling you to harm yourself or harm the baby, then it is definitely psychosis. And psychosis can lead to suicide or harm to the baby very quickly. So we have to be so careful, and we have to treat it like an emergency case. So like you would treat somebody having a heart attack, you would immediately take them to the doctors.
Right.
That's how a postpartum psychosis case needs to be treated.
Okay. Wow.
And then there is no choice for medication. With medication, it is so easily managed.
Oh, okay.
So a combination of antidepressants, sometimes there is mood regulators that are used, and antipsychotic drugs. With antipsychotics, though, breastfeeding can become an issue.
Okay.
And I have actually seen families not want to take the risk because the baby deserves to be breastfed. But if the mom ends up doing something to herself, the baby is definitely not getting that.
That is true.
I think maternal safety is at risk with postpartum psychosis. With PTSD, when there is a complicated delivery process or when there has been trauma during the delivery process, it definitely hampers milk supply. There will always be all of these things that come with depression with an added this of hypervigilance.
Okay.
Where the tiniest of things will make the mother very uncomfortable or on edge. The smallest of sounds, and then she will feel like the worst is happening. And then her body will start reacting. So heart palpitations. There will be sweating sometimes. There will be shortness of breath, hyperventilation. There can be intense crying also. Now, crying can be a sign of all sorts of mental health conditions postpartum. The difference is, so a lot of people typically wonder, what's the difference? Why is it postpartum PTSD?
Yeah.
Why is it postpartum depression and not just depression? Is because A, the postpartum hormones are responsible. And so research has shown that even if the areas of the brain that are being affected are the same, the intensity is very different, or the way in which the combinations of the neurological changes are happening are very different. So it really helps to know what to look for and to know if this needs professional help or this can be managed.
Okay. But in India, there is so much stigma around this entire thing. And there are so many expectations from a mom to always be happy, always wanting to hold the child, always feeling that connection or love with the child. And, like that ma image that we have all grown up with. It just makes things 100 times more difficult for the mother who's going through all this, right? So how can we begin educating the families here first? Before even, we get to the mom or the partner, I think the families play a very big role in a person's life in India, unlike outside of India. So how can we start educating the families?
I think the first step starts with overall generating awareness about the fact that there is real science behind this. A lot of times, especially with mental health issues, people typically are comfortable going towards कि अरे भूत बाधा हुई है, black magic, or sanskar, instead of looking at it through a medical lens. So generating awareness at every step of the way, through the entire pregnancy journey, entire prenatal journey, actually helps. So I feel the place where it needs to start is the gynecologists.
Yeah.
Irrespective of, it has to come from the gynecologist or the pediatrician. It's believable and more acceptable for the family when it comes from professional doctors that they believe in. And there's also this scale, not for all other disorders, but this scale available for depression, which anybody can take online at different intervals. So it's like a 5-minute questionnaire, the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale.
Okay.
And if you get a high score on this, definitely get in touch with somebody who can offer the right guidance, like a mental health professional. And if you don't, just keep repeatedly checking, even if you don't if you're not feeling well.
So is it available online for free?
Available, yes.
Okay, I'll put the link for that in
Absolutely.
the description if anyone needs it, right? I think that's something that will give that validation to moms that yes,
Yes.
everything's okay or not okay.
Absolutely.
So talking about the environment, a lot of us live in joint families. A lot of us live with a lot of external influence that comes from people from different generations, right? Does that also have an impact on mental health, specifically depression? Or is it just something that comes from within?
I think both. It depends on the genetics and the propensity of the mother in general. But there's sometimes quite a bit of pressure, especially when it comes from the in-laws side of the family or from slightly older generation. Koi dadi nani hai. And that does impact the mother. Because then she feels there's already so much loss of freedom in the mother's life. Everything does not belong to her. I mean, nothing belongs to her anymore. And decisions about how to raise her child or how to go along her postpartum journey should be hers and the partner's. Where it is concerned about the child, both, and where it is about her body, I feel only her decisions. Now, if they're medically not helpful, obviously, it's perfectly okay to intervene and give suggestions or offer alternatives. But when it is forced on the mother, especially a lot of practices sometimes or beliefs where they had tried it in their childhood. I have found that something as basic as salt nahi dena bacche ko. There's so much argument, and typically mothers these days want to follow it.
Yeah.
And how will the baby like it? The baby is not eating. Or about formula feeding. And see, like I said, it's a chain reaction with breastfeeding, milk supply, and mental health. So the moment the baby cries, everybody is like, wo bhuka hai. I'm sure you went through that. And then they would, if the option of formula is available and the mother doesn't want it, then everybody wants to give formula. Because the milk is not enough, irrespective of if the supply is actually enough or not. And if the mother has chosen to formula feed for whatever reason, then everybody wants her to breastfeed. So I feel if the mother notices that it is impacting her peace, and forget about mental health also, her day-to-day peace of mind, she should set very clear boundaries about what I am going to listen to. Let people talk. But she should set clear boundaries within herself about what I'm going to listen to and what not. And how to deal with the pressure is you deal with your side of the family. And the partner deals with their side of the family. That's the easiest. So you don't get into unnecessary arguments.
But it's not easy, right? You're going through so many hormonal changes. You don't understand yourself, your body, the new human you have to take care of. And on top of that, there is so much external pressure, advices, unsolicited advices no one asked for. Random people will come in and tell you something and go away. So many people visit when you have a baby.
I actually had this experience. We had to fly for the first time when my daughter was 3 months old. And she had some infection at that time. So the doctor was also worried that, she'll get a lot of earache. So the pediatrician suggested, why don't you try pacifiers? And we actually researched which pacifier is best. I have quite a few dentist friends, families. I spoke to everybody and we chose a pacifier. And then I have had random strangers on the road stop me and tell me, don't do this. Iski aadat pad jati. And I'm like, I did not ask you. I will just smile and move on. But about everything, when the baby should sleep, how, where.
Yes. गोद में मत सुलाओ, आदत पड़ जाएगी. Breastfeed करके मत सुलाओ, आदत पड़ जाएगी. I think these are some of the most common things that everyone has heard.
Everyone has to deal with.
So my question was basically, how can a mother do this in such a sensitive period in her life?
I wish I had a better answer, but the mother has to do this, unfortunately. I think the partner or other family members who understand. So a lot of times there is probably a sister who's a big advocate. Or there is a friend also who people listen to. Or there's somebody that you can, or who's open to listening. And surprisingly, sometimes it can come through unexpected sources. And then you can just communicate it to them and they can help you deal with it. And remember, it's very important to remember that you are the best mother for your child, irrespective. I mean, everybody might have an opinion. Everybody might have experiences also.
Yeah.
But trust sources who you feel comfortable. So trust your instinct.
There's also another very common practice in our country where the mother goes back to her own house after delivery to be with her mom and her parents right after delivery, which usually means that the partner is missing or the father is missing from the scene. This can be sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's even 6 months. I've seen people do this for 6 months. So does that also impact the mother's mental health in good or bad, whatever? Like how is that practice in general helping or not helping the mother?
In the ideal setup where the husband and wife get along well, it's bad for the mother naturally because the child belongs to both of them.
Yeah.
So they both probably started the journey together. They dreamt about how to raise the child or what to do. And if the father is missing, because paternal leave is a joke in our country. Yeah. It can get really taxing on the mother because she decides. So she was supposed to be part of a team. And now she has to handle this entirely new project by herself. So if the father can be involved or can be present, nothing like it. It also depends on what kind of a relationship the new mother has with her side of the family or whoever she's staying with. Obviously, sometimes it can be in-laws that they're staying with. And that's typically more, that poses a bigger risk if the mother is staying with the in-laws without the father. Because then she doesn't have somebody that she's comfortable saying things to a lot of times. What you can actually do is make sure that the father is present. But if you have a bad relationship with your side of the family, which is also a case a lot of times, then definitely hold your boundaries about this is not where I want to go. And always a good idea, I think, is if you can do it in your own home.
Yeah. Okay. And then there comes these practices that are sort of being forced upon postpartum women. Some of them might be good or scientifically backed, but some of them are just, they don't make sense, right? Like, for example, I don't know if this is scientifically backed or not, but I've often seen mothers have been told to cover their ears, put cotton in their ears after delivery. Maybe there's some science behind it, but it can get uncomfortable and irritating for a mom, right? But there's so much force and there's so much push. There's so much push to do this that ye nahi kiya to pata nahi kya ho jayega, like that kind of a thing. And the diet changes and it's completely governed by the older people in the family. You're not allowed to eat what you want to eat. You're not allowed to step out of the room sometimes, right? So do these practices also have an impact on the mother's mental health?
Absolutely. Especially what you said about not being able to step out of the room. I mean, that just leads towards loneliness. You are kind of generating the loneliness. The mother deserves support. The whole point of why she was not allowed to step out of the room earlier could just have been about the immunity and the cleanliness that could not have been maintained in the rest of the house. And also probably that there are men in the house. Now things are so different. You can very easily cover yourself up and breastfeed while watching the TV maybe. And the mother needs a moment, constantly in a room. Anybody will go crazy. Some practices do help though. Some practices like the massage, obviously, if you like it. But when you are massaged, the typical hormone that is released is oxytocin. Now, oxytocin is one of the happiness hormones. So, it helps reduce signs of depression. And there is also research, obviously, it's still in the works, but there's research going on where oxytocin levels are directly linked to postpartum depression.
Oh, okay.
So, where higher oxytocin has a very low risk of PPD, whereas when the oxytocin is low, deficient, then there is a higher risk of PPD. So doing things, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a massage. It could just be allowing the couple, the new parents, to sleep in one room together.
Yeah, that's also a thing where they're not allowed to sleep together. Yeah, I remember this. I've heard about it. Oh God, yes, yes,
And
yes.
I have heard about something, there's some puja that happens in a
Huh.
few
Yeah,
areas very soon
yeah,
after the
yeah.
postpartum
10
period.
days.
10 days,
Yes.
which seems so unfair to the
Yeah.
mother. I understand the puja, but deciding how big you want to keep it and making sure that the mother's health is the priority can really make a difference.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody who had that puja in a very big way.
Okay.
I mean, they booked the clubhouse
Huh,
and
huh, huh.
everything, and literally 6 days or 10 days, I think, postpartum, the mother was checking if all the guests were,
Oh.
comfortable, if they had enough food. And then somebody cut the cake and fed a little bit of cake to the baby. And the mother was so uncomfortable in that moment and she couldn't do anything. And I feel these tiny things really make a difference. So I get following tradition. More than tradition, also some religious, everybody is scared about the baby. But making sure that the mother is comfortable while doing all of this. Small thing where if you have to do some puja, letting the mother sit in a chair. I mean, she's gone through something which is a major life-altering medical procedure. Can really make a lot of difference.
So I'll be honest, most of these traditions that we're talking about come from the in-law side of the family, right? So how can a partner support the mom in this scenario where, there are traditions which people are very passionate about and not ready to let go of, but at the same time, the partner obviously cares about the mother.
It's a very tough situation for the partner, I feel. But I think first thing to remember is obviously your baby is your priority.
Yeah.
But the baby cannot function without the mother at this stage. So the mother has to be a priority too. And whatever things are happening or whatever situations are being created, the mother's comfort needs to be prioritized. So the partner can just probably try and understand why the family is pushing for something, and then maybe show some logic if there needs to be. Or sometimes just put their foot down,
Yeah.
where they don't even need to take it to the mother. But this can be very difficult because then that can impact their relationship with their family also.
Yeah.
In fact, fathers can also suffer from postpartum depression.
Oh, okay.
So the mother is naturally going through a whole process of pregnancy and delivery. So there are hormonal changes over there. But there is also a lot of neurological changes in the brain structure, changes in the brain function that is happening with the father if and when they spend time with the child. So I think that relates to your earlier question, where it becomes very difficult for the father and the child to form that bond unless and until they don't get to spend time together. And if fathers feel involved in raising the child, if they feel like they have a say in it, that really changes how they come ahead or how they can actually be there. So it also comes back to the relationship, prenatal relationship. So what I would suggest is, if any couple notices that there are issues in the relationship during pregnancy, which is supposed to be a very happy time for the parents to be, then definitely I would say fix it before the baby is born. Like this nuska that is given in our country, bachcha ho jayega, sab theek hoga.
Ho jayega, yes.
Oh God. I mean, you're a mother,
Yeah.
Bachcha hone ke
Goes
baad.
for a toss only for a while.
Absolutely. And it complicates things so much more. So individual mental health and the relationship health need to be worked upon before the delivery. It's so imperative. Otherwise, things are going to get difficult. And if the mother and the marital relationship is not going fine, then obviously the mental health of the mother or the father is not going to go well.
But I genuinely feel that it's very difficult for the father of today to do all of this because they have not grown up in such families. They have not seen their fathers be the role model that they needed to be this kind of a father today, right? We've all had fathers who were always working, always busy, always going to office, taking care of the financial aspect of the family. And we've always seen mothers being maternal, staying home, taking care of us. So as mothers, we know what to do because we've seen it. We've grown up seeing it. But the fathers have not grown up seeing it.
Absolutely.
They're trying so hard, to change that. But it obviously gets to them, and it is very difficult for them to change it, especially when it comes to conflict with your own family, like you mentioned, right? Like, put your foot down and stuff. They've never seen their father do it.
Yes.
They've never even seen their mother do it because elders are like, gods for us in our country. But today's generations of fathers is really trying to do that. And I mean, it's just, I feel very, very difficult for them to navigate this.
Sometimes I feel more difficult than the mother.
Yeah.
If the father is a good father, then they're going to be suffering.
Yeah, I actually read this somewhere that you are only, something around that, you are only miserable as a parent if you're a good parent. Like, basically, it's tough if you're good.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's easy. There's
so
nothing.
Easy, no?
Yeah, that is true.
And this actually reminds me that taking out time for yourselves. I mean, I get that you are a parent now, but you are also a couple. You're also husband and wife. And that completely goes missing, where it's just been the two of you till you have your first child.
Yeah.
And no matter how, obviously with trusted sources like grandparents or nannies or babysitters that you can trust, or simply going to a place where your baby is in front of you but also engaged somewhere. There are so many spaces which offer indoor games, or just going for a walk with the baby while they're small in the pram and you can talk to each other. I think this is something that me and my husband do too much. Every time we're back home, because it's difficult here, we will literally dump the baby.
Yeah. We do that too. But one thing, one tip I can give here, early bedtime.
Absolutely.
Holy grail. I think anyone if comes to me with this problem that I don't have time with my husband, early bedtime is the solution.
Absolutely.
If your child is going to bed by 7 or 8 max, you have 2-3 hours to yourselves.
And you also are a little saner because you get more sleep also.
Yeah, you get more sleep and you can actually just be with each other, right? That connection time with your partner can just be that. And that's just worked beautifully for... I didn't even know that this would be a side effect of early bedtime.
Yes, of course.
We did early bedtime because we wanted that for our kid. But now it's like...
I'm so glad.
It worked out perfectly for us that way.
No, I think yes. There is no other choice.
That's true. Awesome. Now, we've talked a lot about, things to do and all, but I really want to know about some trusted sources from you that, people can go to if they're going through something. Because there's, again, there are a lot of quacks out there.
Oh, God.
And I really don't want anyone to go through that. So maybe some trusted sources that you can tell us.
What I would say is, instead of giving you, I'll tell you a few support groups, but instead of telling you names, because people might be watching from everywhere, make sure that the professional that you're seeking has a professional degree, education, experience in this area. I see somebody who probably was an engineer a couple of years ago, and now with good intention, obviously, because maybe their postpartum journey was difficult, and then without any formal training, or maybe with a 3-month certificate course, they will call themselves certified counselor. And also because the term counselor is not legally binding in our country, it becomes very difficult to identify.
Yeah.
So I would say, go to their LinkedIn. Check if they have the necessary qualification. When I say necessary qualification, first is a psychiatry degree where they will have an MBBS and then an MD or some other post-graduate course in psychiatry. Sometimes normal MBBS doctors or specialist doctors who are not psychiatrists can also prescribe antidepressants. But I think a psychiatrist is the best judge, especially in a situation where, everything is so sensitive. Apart from that, for a psychologist, it will be somebody who has either a master's in psychology or an MPhil in psychology.
Okay.
MPhil is considered the top degree, but I have seen a lot of people who are also doing some wonderful work with a master's. or a PhD in psychology, but not required at all.
Yeah.
And psychiatric social workers.
Okay.
So sometimes they can also offer some wonderful support because they are also trained. Again, a master's, some sort of master's degree in psychiatric social work.
Okay.
Apart from that, maybe gynecologists can help.
Okay.
And like I said, sometimes pediatricians might give you some tips in terms of parenting side of things
Yeah.
or about the child side of things. But I wouldn't really recommend for the other areas. And lactation experts really help when it comes to obviously breastfeeding issues.
Yeah.
But making sure that you either go through their LinkedIn or you ask them. Any good professional would be okay giving you answers as to their qualifications. And if they're not comfortable or if they try to skirt around the issue, that is a red flag.
So if someone's in their postpartum and they want to talk about postpartum depression specifically, can they go to any psychologist, like with the qualifications you mentioned, or do they need to seek help from someone who's specializing in postpartum health?
I think somebody, maybe not specializing, but at least somebody who's aware and has experience dealing with it. Because that's a very niche area. And like I said, even if depression and postpartum depression are both depression, the reasons why it happens and the way it presents is vastly different. So with a psychiatrist, I think it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because they're medical doctors at the end of the day.
Yeah.
With a psychologist, yes.
Okay.
And make sure that the degree of psychology is clinical or counseling.
Okay.
Because there's also industrial and educational psychology, which has no, prior information about this area.
A lot of times, moms feel that only a fellow mom can understand me.
Yes.
A psychologist needs to be a mom for me to talk to them. Is that true?
See, if the psychologist has experience working with this population, I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I mean, it's like saying only a female gynecologist can deliver.
So that's why, because there's a lot of this thing, right? Even I think there's also a gender stigma there sometimes that, people feel more comfortable talking to women, like especially women feel more comfortable talking to women opposed to men. But mothers, I wanted to understand specifically because like, how will they understand that they haven't gone through it now? Unko kaise samajh aayega? So that kind of thinking comes out, right?
Yes. So I would say if you're uncomfortable with somebody, don't go to them. Only because you're uncomfortable, not because they cannot help you. I have a male therapist and he was there. I mean, he's seen my postpartum issues.
Okay, awesome. Now coming back to the resources, the support groups and all. So if you could give us some names, I'll definitely link them in the description, but just put them here as well.
One group that really helped me in my postpartum journey is called Snugbub.
Okay.
So they are doing amazing work in terms of support group, mainly based out of Bangalore, but they are offering support throughout India and very easy ways to connect. Like I remember 3 a.m. conversations with fellow moms and also professionals at the same time, where immediate help, immediate resources for every tiny thing. Like my baby has a rash on the face and is this normal? And then somebody would say something. And then I have been following a page where the awareness created is really wonderful and very in-depth. It's called Postpartum Support India.
I think I have seen them. Yes. It's by Shreya, right?
I think Raising Shan is her.
Shreya, yes.
But
yes,
her, I mean, the information given is very, very
that is true. That is
trustworthy.
True. That is true. I also follow them quite religiously. That is true.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, awesome. I'll definitely link these pages for anyone who wants to refer. Now, I want to cover a little bit about therapy in India.
Yes.
Because therapy is such a big stigma. And when you bring moms into the picture, there's so much doubt that moms already have on themselves that I'm not a good mom, I'm not this, I'm not that. And then when you bring therapy into the picture, it becomes even more like this thing that, how can I ask for help or how can I need help in this area? So how can we kind of just challenge this notion that a good mother can do everything on their own?
I think we were never meant to do everything on our own. I mean, the whole concept of it takes a village.
Yeah.
Mothers, I mean, it's such a recent thing that mothers are doing everything by themselves. So if you fed the baby, there was somebody else to put the baby to bed.
Yeah.
And people had like 8-9 children. The mother couldn't possibly have been present
True.
for everything. And so if we are looking at tradition, like most families tend to do, then maybe quoting this and remembering this, that traditionally this was not true. And I think also figuring out what is working and what is not working. So everybody's aim, I think all suggestions come from a good place where there is love for the baby. So even with the family, I think it comes from a place of love that everybody feels for the child, because everybody is definitely concerned about the child, irrespective of if they're concerned about the mother or no. But the child can only be healthy if the mother is healthy. The mother cannot possibly keep pouring from an empty cup. So making sure that she has that support. And like I said earlier also, the support that she needs is what the mother needs to remember. That I have a right to ask for support because I was never supposed to do this by myself.
This was actually what I was going to say, that usually it's not the family. It's the pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the age of social media that we live in, there's so much comparison that's constantly going on in our heads, where we see other people doing everything on their own, probably, which might not even be true, but that's just what they're putting online, but we believe it. And that's where the pressure comes from, right? So that's what sort of I want to understand. How can we, how can we do that mindset shift for mothers? That's where it should start, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, something as tiny as how my house should look.
Exactly. Aesthetically pleasing and all what you see on the social media. It's not how normal houses look.
And that's not how they should look also.
Yeah.
A house should feel, I mean, when we think of how our houses were growing up, I'm not saying that they were chaotic necessarily or it was never organized, but it was a place that we could be comfortable in. So understanding that a place that you, your child and your family can be comfortable in is okay. It doesn't need to look perfect. There can be a messy kitchen, a messy living room, messy everything.
Yeah.
And I read this somewhere that you can manage to only make sure that 2 out of 3 things look good. Yourself, the baby, or the house. It's generally the mother who doesn't end up looking good.
True.
And you don't get time to take care of yourself. So prioritizing self-care is far more important than all the other expectations. Because see, the end goal that a mother has is also to be a better mom or to be a better person. And all of those things will only be possible if she's taking care of herself. It may be taking time for herself. It may be working out, taking therapy, whatever it is that she needs in that moment.
I kid you not, being in a nuclear setup, there have been days when I haven't taken a bath for 3 days. Because I haven't had the time.
Absolutely.
With work, house, baby, no time left. रात को याद आता है, oh, आज नहीं नहाए. Forgot. It's not even like purposely you forgot about it. And that's such a basic human need to take a bath. And especially on days when I'm alone with Kian, I don't have help. My husband has to go to work. कब जाऊँ मैं नहाने? कब नहाऊँ मैं बताओ मुझे. So yeah, I mean, it is tough, but I think prioritizing yourself is the key over there.
This actually reminded me of something that for a very long time, I used to wear just breastfeeding friendly clothes.
Same. That's all I owned.
Exactly, nothing else.
Owned, yeah.
And I'm guessing the people I work with have been very sweet to me throughout my journey. But I'm guessing they've probably thought that she only has these certain pieces of clothing because har hafte to usi mein dekhte hain usko. And I understand that as a psychologist specifically, making sure that I am well put up in front of the client can really make them feel comfortable. But I also have to show some grace to myself. That maybe best I can do is comb my hair and put on, a kurta over shorts or something. And that's okay.
That's okay, yeah. So now for a mom who has never tried therapy before, can you walk us through what a typical therapy session would look like to take away the stigma?
That answer is going to be a little more complicated than you expect. Because now therapy is in 2 ways. So online and offline.
Yeah, of course.
Pre-COVID, it was always offline. I feel there are pros and cons to both. So I will describe how both sessions would look like, and then the mom can choose what makes sense to her. So in an offline setup, you walk into a clinic, which probably has a very comfortable sofa or a chair where you can sink into. Take a moment to breathe, and there'll be a box of tissues, most probably kept. There'll be some water. So you know that what I think the box of tissues also does is, if it's so visible, maybe it's okay to cry. And probably a lot of people cry. And I will not... I'm not kidding you, but I've seen the strongest of men cry. I've not seen one single person who've not cried in therapy. And a lot of people are worried about that.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly okay. The whole point we are here is so that you feel better. And if crying makes you feel better, go for it. Then you will have a stranger in front of you who's supposed to help you with your worst thoughts. And one question that a lot of people struggle with, not just mothers, is what will the therapist think of me? And I think it doesn't matter. A good therapist is definitely never going to judge you. Because if you feel that you are the worst, they've definitely seen worse. And worse in terms of situations.
Yeah.
And they're going to understand and help you untangle all the emotions. A lot of people also don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much going on in my mind. Where do I start? And a good therapist will ask you the right questions. And they will get you talking. So even introverts specifically have this question that I'm not somebody who's comfortable talking. Then will therapy help me? Absolutely. If it's a good fit. In an online setup, yes, the box of tissues, the cushion, water, it's not going to be available. But you log in, you'll have link to log in. And you can do it from the comfort of your home. So a lot of new moms don't have time. And
Step out, yeah.
And in a city like Bangalore, going a kilometer away can take an hour sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's very convenient that she can do it while her baby's sleeping next to her, and she can just have headphones put on, and she can just have a therapy session. She can do it sitting in the washroom, hiding in the washroom, which people have done. And that's perfectly okay. And the stigma about somebody seeing me at the clinic. What if somebody sees me? That is also gone, because nobody has to know if you don't want them to. And I think even if you're traveling, even if you're going anywhere, therapy can continue.
When it's online.
Yes. And a lot of people also want to know if it makes a difference in the efficacy of therapy. It doesn't. Like, once you have connected with a therapist, it doesn't matter if... It's like talking to a friend, no? Imagine, just because a friend is not in front of you, will you not be able to talk to them? You will be able to... Obviously, you will want to meet them, probably. But the efficacy is never reduced. And choose what makes sense to you. Because some people like the comfort of seeing somebody in person. And some people prefer to have the anonymity that comes with online.
Now, how will a mother know if therapy is actually working for them?
Wonderful question. So it's very difficult to know, because you expect that you will feel better. But it's like going to the gym, you start working out and then suddenly you're all achy in places that you never thought you can be achy. And that's how therapy is also supposed to feel like. That sometimes it gets a little harder, and then it gets better, and then it can get harder again. So having a very linear concept of how therapy will work, that, I will feel 10% better, 20%. That's not how it will work. But sometimes it can feel like it's not working at all. But when you look back, you'll see that I'm in a better place than I used to be. Just to give you an example, if somebody is trying to work on anger issues, let's assume, and right now, every time they get angry and say something which maybe is not necessary, they recognize that I was wrong 2 hours. Just as an example, 2 hours after the anger or the situation has passed. With time or with therapy, they cannot expect to stop being angry. What they can expect is, I'm going to recognize a little sooner that I was wrong, or I reacted irrationally, or whatever the situation is. Maybe an hour earlier, or maybe 15 minutes before they would have otherwise recognized.
Okay.
Then slowly it would be that they will recognize it immediately after the situation ends, that okay, I was wrong. Then it could happen that while they're in the situation, they recognize, okay, maybe this is not the best way to react. Then they recognize it a little beforehand, that now I'm going to get pissed off. And they learn how to manage at each stage. And then there will come a time where they'll recognize, okay, these kinds of situations are going to make me feel angry or uncomfortable. Because anger is never going away. You're just learning to deal with that anger better. And now I need to do something to manage my anger, not vanish my anger.
Yeah.
So that's how somebody can know if therapy is working.
I've had a lot of friends who have sort of said that it didn't work for me. Therapy just doesn't work. It's not my cup of tea. Can that be because they didn't give enough time to it? Or could it be that the therapist and the person were not the right fit for each other?
I think it could be both.
Okay.
But it never happens that therapy does not work at all. When you have somebody that you're comfortable with, and when I say comfortable, not somebody who just lets you talk, because a lot of people like it first when they start venting, but then it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Or it could just be that you, or the way you function, does not match with how the therapist works. They might be a wonderful therapist, very raved about, wonderful reviews, but they're not working for you, and that's okay. Try and change again. It's like dating, where just because it's
marrying.
just because it's not working out with one does not mean that you'll always stay single, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And there needs to be given time. So minimum amount of time that therapy needs, even with the right therapist, is 6 months.
Okay.
With regular sessions each week. And then if this is working out or not. Sometimes earlier, in the first, I remember with a gynecologist this happened with me. And the first meeting, I had known this gynecologist since I was a child.
Okay.
And the first meeting, this person tells me that your womb is not fit for a baby. And I was so taken aback because there was some growth restriction which got resolved later on. He told me you're going to have postpartum pregnancy, gestational diabetes.
Okay.
Because my grandfather had diabetes, you are going to have pregnancy wala BP issues because somebody in my family has that. And it was so horrible.
Obviously.
And I said, no, I'm not going back to this person. And I luckily my whole family supported me at that time. So similarly, you will get a feeling that, okay, this is not working out for me. And if, again, for all mothers, I would say trust your intuition. If things are not working out, if you feel off, if you feel weird about a question the therapist has asked, just say out loud that, I'm not comfortable. And a good therapist will change tracks or will make you feel comfortable. Sometimes a good therapist will challenge you also. But then you recognize that difference. And that is typically after a bond has already been established.
Yeah. Okay. This reminds me of a DM I got recently where someone had asked me, will postpartum depression ever go away? And I think that's something a lot of us wonder, who're maybe not even going through postpartum depression, but just not feeling good mentally. So does this ever go away?
It definitely does.
Okay.
And the sooner you get help, the sooner it will resolve. If we avoid making it a chronic issue, it's easier to deal with it. Also, it depends on your prior history, your genetics, your current environment. So if somebody who's already had a diagnosis of depression, anxiety, or some mental health condition, or somebody who has a genetic propensity for it, or somebody who has hereditary propensity for it, then yes, they're going to be at a higher risk and probably is going to take a little longer in case of pre-existing history. But it definitely goes away. Which is why awareness, identification and treatment is so important. Because if you never seek treatment, it can actually fester and turn into a normal depression also. A chronic depressive episode. Or turn into some other mental health condition over time. Because postpartum can only exist up to 5 years postpartum. PPD can be diagnosed.
I thought it was 1.
No, 5 years postpartum,
Okay.
which is a very long time. Sometimes you
Yeah.
don't recognize this is because of
Because of
postpartum
postpartum,
issues.
yeah. This again reminds me, I had another DM that is it possible that after 2.5 years also I have PPD?
Absolutely. And like I said, it might be because something triggered it in that moment. Uh, so for me, the difficult time came not in the first 3 months, it
Yeah.
came after that.
After that, yeah.
And for a lot of mothers, different challenges that they go across can cause issues suddenly.
Okay.
Another thing that I would like to add is just because I did not have postpartum depression in my first pregnancy, what are the I will never have postpartum issues, I mean mental health issues in later pregnancies is not also true. Because everything is dependent on the current situation.
Current situation, yeah.
If you had it earlier, naturally your risk is more.
Higher.
Or if your mother had it, your risk is more. But it's very difficult to know if mothers had it, no?
At that time there was
No awareness.
no awareness. It's safe to say no awareness.
Yes.
Okay. So this brings me to our next segment where I have real stories from moms who have either gone through postpartum depression or have gone through some mental health challenges after delivery. And I actually put up a story on my page asking moms for their stories and questions. Whatever questions I got, you've actually covered. So I thought we could just talk about a few stories. I'll read them out and maybe you can help them understand it better.
Absolutely.
So the first one, how to make our parents or in-laws understand that mother's mental health is important rather than they always saying हमने बच्चे बड़े नहीं किए क्या या ladies को तो ये सब करना पड़ता है.
I think that generation is so trusting of WhatsApp and Facebook videos, more so than other platforms or other sources. I think just share information videos.
Ah, that is true. WhatsApp University.
Yes, they're so trusting of everything they see on WhatsApp. But also, I think communicating. A lot of times asking questions, talking about experiences. Because you tell me, how much do you remember about your delivery now?
Very less.
So time makes you forget the difficult elements, makes it seem very rosy. So then actually getting down and before delivery, I would say, talking to the grandparents or the in-laws, parents, about their experiences or their challenges during those early days, which will actually make them recollect and understand that yes, there were challenges.
Yeah.
So the journey has to start earlier, before delivery.
True.
So even if you might never get postpartum depression, you're prepared for it a little better.
Yeah. Another mom says, since postpartum, I have been feeling differently, like I have no attachment from my husband. I just want to be busy with my kid and want to spend all my time with my kid only. I don't understand that how someone holding a professional degree couldn't understand me, my tantrums, my mood swings, everything. Heartily disappointed.
And there must be so much trauma and so much suffering there. But I think it is a two-way street. It's not just about awareness. I think it can also be about the way things are communicated. In a relationship, it's so much more important that, for example, if I feel that you are doing wrong and your behavior is irritating or you are irritating, that's not true. I am irritated. That does not make you irritating. So the way we communicate things, that I need your help versus you never help. And the chances of one being hurt compared to the other are vastly different.
Yeah.
So it would help to start understanding the communication patterns and where the misunderstanding is created. Second, it's absolutely normal for a mother to want to spend time with her child.
Yeah.
And that is also important for the parental bond, for the mother's identity. If it is not working, I'm not saying that it's the mother's fault at all. If it's not working, I would say definitely see a couples therapist. Try to solve issues in the marriage. If it's not solving, look at what works best for you. But also look at what you can do to communicate better. And that might just help.
Nice. Okay. This mother has come up with a very interesting solution. There should ideally be an affordable rehab center type for just the baby and the mom. The other work can just get, the other work is taken care of, just the baby and mom center. And relatives, they can come if they want to visit. Because depression happens more because of the surrounding people and their negative comments, their unwanted advices. So being away from them, just me and my baby with other work taken care of, it will be so peaceful.
I think, yes, that's the dream, no?
I just really wanted to share this. I really loved the idea because, yeah, we talk about going to our parents and this and that, but people are still there. The advices are still
Yes.
coming. So, yeah, I think this is a really nice
Take on
DM
it.
that I got. Yeah, definitely. So, one last I'll read. Okay. So this mom says, my pregnancy was very, very easy, but the postpartum, oh my God, I was very disturbed, especially for the first 3 months. Too many relatives were coming. Everybody was asking about breast milk, theek ho raha hai, kya nahi ho raha hai, which gave me so much pressure. And then eat this, eat that. Certain things are necessary, I understand, but I think our previous generation just doesn't listen. And if we come up with facts and research, they keep on judging. Stomach pe belt lagao was the ultimate pressure by everyone. They just didn't understand the importance of pelvic floor exercises. Everyone kept forcing me to use the belt and then it ruptured my C-section scar. Ear mein cotton lagana just made me sick. And I think all of these things just make worse. All of these things just make things worse in postpartum.
Absolutely. I think here people don't necessarily use logic, no.
Yeah.
If it's peak summers, you cannot put cotton in your ears. You feel hot just like any other person. I feel more so when you start breastfeeding.
The hot flushes.
Absolutely.
I delivered in November. It was not hot. But I could not survive in anything other than shorts and a t-shirt because the hot flushes were so bad. And I also got this, that cover yourself up. Like, I will die if I cover myself up.
Exactly.
I'm like, I used to get those palpitations also right after breastfeeding and hot flushes. I also got this,
Absolutely.
you know, ki cover karo, ye karo, wo karo. I was like, nahi ho raha, mujhse to nahi ho raha. But yeah.
I think it's important to learn assertiveness before you conceive a child, not even before you deliver.
Yeah.
And setting very clear boundaries. Like I remember we had just gotten out of COVID when I had my baby. And I was a little scared that, what if something carries? And she was in a NICU when she was born.
Okay.
So that I think made the paranoia a little bit more. And I made a rule that nobody will visit for 1 month. Apart from immediate family, absolutely no relatives. I did not allow any of my friends to visit. Because I did not want them there. I mean, not necessarily each individual, but I did not want anybody there. And only immediate family was allowed. And a lot of people might have hated me for it because I remember one of my friends was moving to the UK and she said, "Can I please see your baby?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. You just had a visa appointment. You're probably meeting a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm comfortable." And she accepted it very gracefully. But I'm sure she felt bad.
Yeah.
Or there were relatives, especially from the in-law side, who were coming down to the hometown, visiting, and then we would like to meet the baby. And I said no. And I think when we say no, we have to be prepared with not being liked.
Yeah.
And that's what we struggle with because there's so much ingrained people pleasing in us that we don't want to disappoint others, but we end up disappointing ourselves.
True.
So one line that always I tell everybody who's trying to build boundaries is other people's happiness is not your job. And what they think what they feel about you holding boundaries, obviously not badtamizi ki baat nahi hai. When we hold boundaries, obviously other people don't like it. And I'm not saying we have to be arrogant or rude, but we have to identify that this is what works for me, this doesn't work for me. And say it in a way which is very calm, but also follow through. Something that, we practice with our children, I'm guessing. But with elders also, what they think after you've already explained to them your point of view and you've already told them that this is the best I can do, is not your problem again.
Yeah, very difficult to do. because
Absolutely.
of our conditioning, the way we've been brought up, but definitely something worth trying, I feel.
And the sooner we do it, the easier it's going to become.
True. And if not for our kids, then for home, right?
Exactly.
I think this has been a very enlightening conversation for me. And I really hope that whoever's watching this, be it they're pregnant or a new mom or even a mom to a 3 or 4-year-old, has carried something from this. And it helps them in some way to understand whatever they're dealing with in a better way. One last thing I want to ask you before I leave you. If a brand new mom is listening to this, what is the one thing that you wish she would carry with her after this conversation?
I think the one thing that we all need to remember is you are allowed to be important. And it quickly ends up becoming all consuming about the child. And I mean, rightly so, obviously, but that doesn't make you unimportant.
Yeah.
So you matter.
That's beautiful. I'm not going to add anything to that. I'll leave it up to that. This has been, again, a beautiful conversation. And
Absolutely.
I like to end every episode with the segment that I call the mom pause. So the idea is that, I think we discussed it today, moms don't really pause.
Yes.
There's no break. There's no concept of break for moms. Now, if a mom has watched us for this long, 1 hour, they can definitely take 2 more minutes out for themselves and just sit with their eyes closed and just be.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll take one positive thought. The thought for today is, I offer myself the same grace I give my child.
Wonderful.
Exactly what you said right now. And we'll just sit with that for 2 minutes. Not just you and me, everyone watching. Close our eyes, and that's how we'll end the episode.